10 years ago, he promised to come back for me. Tonight, he found me bleeding in an alley with a gun to my head and claimed me like I'd never been lost. My body screamed for rest as I pushed through the service entrance of the Blackwell Financial Tower. 2 a.m, and the city felt like a graveyard with skyscrapers for tombstones. I'd spent the last 6 hours on my hands and knees scrubbing office floors that would be dirty again by noon, all for $13 an hour that barely kept me and Megan afloat. The plastic grocery bags cut into my palms as I started the familiar trek home. Discount bread from the bakery's day-old bin. Generic ibuprofen because the name brand was $3 more. Megan's medication, the cheap alternative that didn't work as well but was all I could afford. Every item in these bags represented a calculation, a sacrifice, a choice between bad and worse. The financial district emptied out hours ago, leaving behind only shadows and the occasional homeless person huddled in doorways. I kept my head down and my pace quick. 40 minutes on foot instead of taking the bus saved me $4.50 each way. $9 a day. $63 a week. That was 2 doses of Megan's medication. The math was simple, brutal, and inescapable. Light drizzle started halfway through my walk, the kind that doesn't seem like much until you realize you're soaked through. My threadbare jacket offered about as much protection as tissue paper. The cold seeped into my bones, joining the permanent ache that lived there now. 26 years old, and I felt ancient, used up, hollowed out by years of just surviving. I was passing the mouth of an alley between 2 shuttered warehouses when I heard voices. Male. Aggressive. The kind of tones that made smart women cross the street and walk faster. But crossing meant adding 5 minutes to my route, and my feet were already bleeding in these shoes with the worn-through soles. 48 hours. That's what I said last time. My stomach dropped. I recognized that voice. Victor. One of the Russian enforcers who worked for the Sokolov organization, the people who owned my dead husband's debts. Who owned me, essentially, until I paid back $85,000 I'd never borrowed. I tried to slip past unnoticed, but Victor's eyes found me like a predator spotting prey. Lauren Vasquez. He stepped out of the alley, and I could smell the vodka on him from 6 feet away. 2 other men flanked him, both built like refrigerators. Funny seeing you here. Saves me a trip to that shithole apartment of yours. My fingers tightened on the grocery bags. I told you last week. I need more time. My sister is sick. I'm working double shifts. Your sister. Victor's laugh was ugly. Yeah, I know about little Megan. 18, right? Sick girl. Be a shame if something happened to make her sicker. Ice flooded my veins. Don't you dare! He closed the distance between us in 2 strides and grabbed my arm hard enough to leave bruises. 48 hours, or we come collect. And maybe we don't just take you. Maybe we take her too. Pretty girls fetch good money, even sick ones. The grocery bags fell from my numb fingers. This was it. This was how I died. Or worse, in an alley at 2 a.m, killed by debts from a man I'd been forced to marry, a man I'd hated every day of our mercifully short union. Headlights cut through the drizzle like twin blades. A vehicle approached with predatory silence. A black SUV that screamed money and danger in equal measure. It stopped at the curb, engine purring like a satisfied cat. The back door opened. A man stepped out. Even in the dim streetlight, even through the light rain, I could tell this wasn't someone you ignored. Tall, easily 6'3", with shoulders that spoke of violence held in check. His suit probably cost more than I made in 6 months. Perfectly tailored charcoal fabric that somehow remained pristine despite the weather. 3 other men emerged with him, all carrying themselves with the same controlled menace. Let her go. The words came with an accent I couldn't place. Not Russian. Italian, maybe. The voice was quiet, controlled, but it carried absolute authority. Victor's grip on my arm loosened slightly. He recognized something in this man, something that made him hesitate. This doesn't concern you. Private business. I'm making it my business. And the man moved closer, and more details resolved in the weak light. Dark hair slicked back from a face all sharp angles and harder edges. Who do you work for? Nikolai Sokolov. Victor's voice had lost some of its swagger. Who the hell are you? Gabrielle Fioraldi. The name dropped between them like a blade. Her debt now belongs to me. Consider it paid in full as of this moment. Fioraldi. The name meant nothing to me, but it clearly meant something to Victor. The Russian released my arm completely, taking a full step back. Boss Sokolov won't like this. That debt is ours by right. Boss Sokolov can take it up with me directly if he has an issue. Gabriel's tone hadn't changed. Still quiet. Still controlled. Somehow, that made him more terrifying. Now leave. Before I decide I don't like how you were touching her. Victor looked at me, then at Gabriel, clearly calculating his chances. Whatever math he did, it came up short. He and his men retreated toward a car I hadn't noticed parked further down the street, throwing looks over their shoulders like dogs expecting to be kicked. I stood frozen as their engine started and they peeled away into the night. The drizzle continued to fall, soaking through my jacket, plastering my hair to my skull. My grocery bags lay scattered on the wet pavement. Bread probably ruined. Gabriel moved into my line of sight, studying me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Up close, the dim light revealed more. A scar running vertically down his chin. Another cutting through his left eyebrow. His nose had been broken at least once and healed crooked. These weren't decorative scars. They were the map of a violent life. You've been working at the Blackwell Tower for 8 months. He spoke like he was commenting on the weather. Night shift, 6 days a week. You walk home to save bus fare. Stop at Garcia's Market every Tuesday for groceries. Your sister Megan has appointments at County Medical every Friday. Horror crawled up my spine. How do you know that? I've been watching you for a week. Ever since I found you through your sister's hospital records. He tilted his head slightly. You don't recognize me, do you? Something in his voice made me actually look at him. Not as a threat. Not as another man trying to hurt me, but as a person. Those eyes. Dark brown, almost black, with an intensity that seemed to see straight through every wall I'd built around myself over the past decade. Those eyes. I knew those eyes. The grocery bag slipped from my nerveless fingers. No, you're dead. You have to be dead. Lauren Mitchell. He said my maiden name, the one I hadn't used since I'd been forced to marry Tommy Vasquez 2 years ago. Not Lauren Vasquez. Never really his, were you? Gabriel. Gabriel Fioraldi. The boy who'd protected me when we were teenagers growing up in the same hellhole housing project. The boy who'd kissed me on a rooftop and promised to come back for me when he was strong enough. The boy whose entire family had been slaughtered in front of him 10 years ago. Who disappeared into the night, bleeding from a dozen wounds. Who I'd hidden for 5 days in an abandoned basement and then never saw again. The boy I'd loved. The boy who'd broken my heart by leaving me behind. All the rage, all the pain, all the exhaustion and fear and desperation of the past decade crystallized into white-hot fury. You son of a bitch. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe. I can explain. Explain? My voice rose, echoing off the warehouse walls. You disappeared 10 years ago. No word, no message, nothing. I waited for you. I believed you. And while you were off doing whatever the hell this is, I gestured at his expensive suit, his armed escorts. I was being beaten by loan sharks who thought I knew where you were. I was being forced to marry a man who used me as a punching bag. I watched my parents die in a fire that was set to punish me for debts I didn't owe. My sister is dying because I can't afford real treatment. And you've been, what? Watching me? For a week? Lauren. Don't. Tears burned hot against my cold cheeks, and I hated myself for them. Don't you dare say my name like you know me. You left. You promised to come back, and you just left me there to rot. He absorbed every word like physical blows, jaw tightening with each accusation. When I finally ran out of breath, out of words, out of everything, he spoke quietly. I went to Sicily, to my uncle, the only family I had left. I spent 5 years learning how to survive in a world that would have killed me otherwise. I came back 3 years ago and built power, built resources, specifically so I could find you and protect you. It took me 2 years to locate you because you'd changed your name when you married. That's supposed to make it better? That you were off becoming this, I didn't even know what to call him, while I was drowning? No. Simple. Honest. Nothing makes it better. But I'm here now, And that debt Victor mentioned? It's gone. You don't owe the Sokolovs anything. You owe me now. I don't want to owe you anything. Too late. The debt transfers the moment I claimed it, which means you belong to me until it's paid off. His eyes never left mine. Get in the car. I'll take you home. I'd rather walk. 40 minutes in the rain. Your shoes have holes in them. You're exhausted enough to collapse. He gestured to the SUV. Get in the car, Lauren. No. We stared at each other in the drizzle. A decade of history and hurt between us. Finally, he stepped back. Then my men will follow behind you. Make sure you get home safely. Because Nikolai Sokolov just learned that I took his property, and he's not going to be happy about it. The implications of that sank in slowly. You just painted a target on me. The target was already there the moment you inherited Tommy Vasquez's debts. I just made it official. He returned to the SUV, then paused with the door open. You're being watched now, Lauren. By me, and by people who want to hurt me through you. That's the reality. You can accept my protection, or you can keep pretending you're fine on your own. Either way, I'm not disappearing again. He climbed into the vehicle, and it rolled forward slowly, matching my pace as I bent to gather my ruined groceries. The bread was soaked through. The medicine bottle had rolled into the gutter. Everything felt symbolic, like my life leaking away into dirty rainwater. I walked. The SUV followed behind me, headlights illuminating my path through the empty streets. 40 minutes of humiliation, of feeling those eyes on my back, of remembering a boy I'd loved, and trying to reconcile him with this dangerous stranger. When I reached my building, Gabriel emerged one more time. He handed me a thick envelope without a word. Inside, I could feel the weight of cash, and something smaller, a business card. First installment. His voice was soft. This isn't over, Lauren. It's barely begun. The SUV pulled away, leaving me standing in the rain with more money than I'd seen in years, and the ghost of a promise I'd stopped believing in a long time ago. I didn't sleep. How could I? Knowing that envelope contained enough cash to pay 3 months of Megan's treatment. I sat at our rickety kitchen table until dawn, counting $100 bills with shaking hands. $100,000. More money than I'd seen in my entire life, just handed to me by a ghost who'd become a stranger. When pale morning light finally crept through our cracked windows, I checked on Megan, still sleeping, fever-free for once. I kissed her forehead and slipped out for my morning shift at the diner, exhausted but functional. I'd worked on less sleep before. The hallway outside our apartment stopped me cold. 2 men in dark suits stood stationed like sentries, one on each side of our door. They straightened when they saw me, hands moving instinctively toward jacket interiors. Mrs. Vasquez. The taller one nodded respectfully. We're here to ensure your safety. I didn't ask for guards. Mr. Fioraldi insists. Of course he did. I pushed past them, taking the stairs because waiting for the elevator meant more time under their watchful eyes. They followed at a discreet distance, shadows I couldn't shake. The black SUV from last night sat parked across from the diner when I arrived for my shift. Different vehicle, same message. I was being watched, controlled, owned by a man who thought throwing money at me erased a decade of abandonment. My hands trembled as I poured coffee, took orders, delivered plates of greasy food to customers who barely looked at me. Every time the door opened, I flinched. Every time a car passed, I checked if it was his. The other waitress, Maria, kept asking if I was okay. I lied and said I was fine. The lunch rush ended. I collected my tips, $43.60, and headed home. Those damn guards trailing behind me like well-dressed shadows. I climbed the stairs to our apartment, keys already in hand. The door was unlocked. Ice flooded my veins. I'd locked it. I always locked it. Triple-checked it. Because Megan was inside, and vulnerable. I burst through, ready to fight or scream or both. Gabriel sat on my threadbare couch like he owned it. Megan was awake, propped up with pillows, talking to him animatedly about some book he'd apparently brought her. She looked happier than I'd seen her in months. "Lauren!" She beamed at me. Gabriel brought me the entire Chronicles series, the ones I wanted but we couldn't afford, and he says he knows a doctor who might be able to help with my treatment. My vision tunneled. "Megan, go to your room." Her smile faded. But, now, please. She shot Gabriel a confused look before shuffling to the bedroom we shared, closing the door softly behind her. The moment the latch clicked, I rounded on him. How dare you break into my apartment? Gabriel remained seated, infuriatingly calm. I didn't break in. The landlord let me in. You bribed my landlord? I purchased the building this morning, so technically I let myself into my own property. He gestured to the water-stained ceiling. This place is a health hazard. You shouldn't be living here. Get out. I paid for Megan's treatment, 3 months in advance. The clinic called to confirm. You had no right. My voice cracked. No right to go behind my back, to make decisions about my sister without asking me. You need help. I didn't ask for your help. I didn't ask you to insert yourself into my life, to throw money around like it fixes everything. I was shaking now, 10 years of rage and pain pouring out. You can't just buy me, Gabriel. I'm not property you acquire because you feel guilty. He stood slowly, and I remembered how big he was, how much space he took up in my tiny apartment. You owe me now. That's how this works. The debt transferred from Sokolov to me the moment I claimed it. I didn't agree to that. You didn't have to. That's not how debt works in my world. His eyes were hard, calculating. You belong to me until it's paid off. So yes, I can make decisions about your living situation, your sister's treatment, your safety, because you're mine now. The possessiveness in his voice sent shivers down my spine. Not entirely from fear. That was the worst part. Some traitorous part of me responded to his intensity, to being wanted with such absolute certainty. I don't want to be anyone's, I whispered. Too late. He moved closer, and I could smell him now. Expensive cologne mixed with something darker, more primal. You can fight me on this, Lauren, but you'll lose. Or you can accept my help and let me protect you and Megan the way I should have been doing for the past decade. You're not protecting me. You're controlling me. Sometimes they're the same thing. I wanted to hit him, wanted to scream. Instead, I stood there trembling with impotent fury as he walked to my door, pausing with his hand on the frame. I'll be back tonight. We have things to discuss. Don't bother. I'll be back anyway. He left, closing the door softly behind him, leaving me in the wreckage of my carefully maintained independence. The week that followed became a surreal nightmare. Gabriel appeared constantly, bringing groceries I didn't ask for, replacing my broken furniture with expensive pieces that didn't belong in this apartment, trying to convince me to quit my jobs. I refused everything out of sheer stubbornness, even when refusing meant eating canned soup instead of fresh food, even when my back screamed from sleeping on that terrible couch because I'd refused his offer of a new mattress. My coworkers noticed the men in suits always nearby. They asked questions I couldn't answer. Maria thought I had a rich boyfriend. I let her believe it. Easier than explaining I'd been purchased by my teenage love who'd returned as a mafia boss. Megan, though. She saw everything I tried to hide. She cornered me on the 4th day, when Gabriel had left after another argument about accepting his help. You love him. Not a question. I loved who he used to be. He still is that person. Just more. She hugged her knees to her chest, looking far too thin, too fragile. He asked me about my diagnosis, about treatment options. He listened, Lauren. Really listened. And he looks at you like you're the only thing in the world that matters. He's dangerous, Meg. So is dying slowly because we can't afford proper treatment. She met my eyes steadily. I know you're scared. But maybe let him help. Just a little? I couldn't answer that. Because she was right. And I hated it. Gabriel showed up that night, like he'd promised. Or threatened. We sat in my kitchen that barely fit 2 people, and he told me about Sicily. About learning to survive in a world where weakness meant death. About building power specifically to find me. His voice was matter-of-fact, clinical, describing violence like someone else would describe their day at work. Why me? I finally asked. 10 years, Gabriel. You could have had anyone. Why obsess over someone who... Because you're mine. He said it with absolute certainty. You were mine at 16. You're mine now. Nothing that happened in between changes that. The intensity in his dark eyes made my breath catch. That's not love. That's possession. Maybe it's both. Before I could respond, the lights went out. Not just in our apartment. The entire building plunged into darkness. Gabriel was on his feet instantly, phone already out, speaking rapidly in Italian to someone. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. What's happening? Sokolov's people. They cut the power. He pulled a gun from somewhere I hadn't seen, checking it with practiced efficiency that terrified me. They're making their move. He was gone before I could process, shouting orders to his guards in the hallway. I ran to Megan's room, found her awake and frightened. We huddled together in the darkness, listening to shouts from outside, then gunfire that made us both flinch. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. Felt like hours. When the lights flickered back on, Gabriel stood in my doorway, shirt torn, blood on his knuckles. Not his blood, I realized with nauseating certainty. Pack a bag, both of you, now. What happened out there? Russians, different ones than last night. Sokolov's sending a message that he doesn't accept the debt transfer. He looked at me, and I saw something raw beneath his controlled exterior. Fear. They're escalating. You're not safe here anymore. So we run? We let them chase us out of our home? Your home is a death trap with one exit and no security. My home is a fortress. He crouched down, bringing himself to eye level with me. Please, Lauren. For once, just trust me. I can't protect you here. The please broke something in me. I'd never heard him say it before. Not in this life. I looked at Megan, pale and shaking, and knew I didn't have a choice anymore. Just until this blows over, I said. Temporarily, of course. But something in his expression said he was lying. That once I stepped into his world, I'd never step out again. I started packing, hands shaking, while Gabriel made phone calls and his guards secured the building. Outside my window, I could see 2 men on the ground, not moving. This was my life now. Blood and violence and a man who'd claim me like I was territory to be conquered. And the worst part? Some dark corner of my soul whispered that I'd been waiting for him to come back and claim me all along. Gabriel moved into my life like a conquering army. Within 48 hours of the shooting incident in our hallway, he'd installed a security system so sophisticated it probably tracked my heartbeat, reinforced our flimsy door with something that looked bulletproof, and stationed armed guards in rotating shifts outside our apartment. Privacy became a distant memory, a luxury I'd taken for granted until men in expensive suits knew my schedule better than I did. I kept working out of sheer stubborn defiance. Morning shift at the diner, evening cleaning at another office building after the first one cut my hours. Every step I took, shadows followed. Gabriel's men, silent and efficient, ensuring I was never alone. My coworkers stopped asking questions when they realized the answers would terrify them. The worst part wasn't the surveillance. It was how Gabriel filled every space I tried to keep empty. He brought dinner when I worked late, waited in my kitchen like he belonged there, fixed things I'd learned to live with broken. The radiator that clanked stopped clanking. The window that wouldn't close suddenly sealed perfectly. Small invasions that added up to complete occupation. You need to stop. I told him one night after Megan had gone to bed. She'd been getting stronger with the treatments he'd paid for, color returning to her cheeks. And I hated how grateful that made me feel. This hovering, this constant presence, it's suffocating. Gabriel sat on my couch, looking completely at ease in my cramped apartment despite his expensive suit. I'm protecting my investment. I'm not an investment. I'm a person. You're both. His dark eyes studied me with unsettling intensity. And you're exhausted. Working 2 jobs when you don't have to anymore is just pride. It's called independence. It's called stupidity. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You owe me $100,000, Lauren. You could work yourself to death and not pay that off in 5 years. Or you could accept my help and focus on things that actually matter. Like what? Being your kept woman? Something dangerous flickered in his expression. Is that what you think this is? What else would I call it? You pay my bills, control where I go, decide what's safe for me. That's not protection, Gabriel. That's ownership. Maybe I want to own you. He said it so calmly, like discussing the weather. Would that be so terrible? Being mine completely? My heart hammered against my ribs. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's the truth. He stood, and suddenly my small living room felt even smaller. I've spent 10 years building power specifically so I could find you and keep you. I'm not going to apologize for wanting what's mine. I was never yours to begin with. You were always mine. He closed the distance between us in 2 strides. From the first time I saw you at 16, terrified in that housing project hallway. You belonged to me then. You belong to me now. The only thing that's changed is now I have the resources to actually protect you. By trapping me, by loving you. The words hit like a physical blow. Even when I was in Sicily getting my face rearranged by my uncle's trainers, even when I was killing my way through the Fioraldi ranks to become boss, you were the reason. Every brutal choice, every compromise with my conscience. It was so I could come back strong enough to keep you safe. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the raw honesty in his voice. You don't know me anymore. Then let me learn. His hand came up slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers traced my jaw with surprising gentleness. Tell me about the last 10 years. Tell me everything I missed. So I did. Maybe because I was tired of carrying it alone. Maybe because some part of me had been waiting a decade to make him understand the cost of his absence. I told him about the loan sharks who'd beaten me bloody looking for him. About being forced to marry Tommy Vasquez, 8 months after my parents died, in a fire that was meant as punishment for debts I didn't owe. About a husband who used my face as a punching bag, but never touched me sexually, because drugs had destroyed everything that made him a man. He died owing more than he was worth, I said flatly. Got shot in some deal gone wrong. I didn't cry at his funeral. I felt nothing but relief that it was over. And then I realized it wasn't over, because his debts transferred to me, and Megan got diagnosed, and I've spent the last year and a half just trying to survive one day at a time. Gabriel's jaw had gone tight, a muscle jumping beneath his scarred skin. I should have found you sooner. You should never have left. I was 18 and bleeding out from a dozen wounds. Staying would have gotten us both killed. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. My uncle in Sicily was the only family I had left. Don Salvatore. He trained me, taught me how to survive in a world where weakness means death. 5 years I spent there, learning things that would give you nightmares. Then I came back and spent 3 more years fighting my way to the top of the Fioraldi organization. Why them specifically? Because they had territory, resources, and most importantly, they had history with the Sokolovs who killed my family. His eyes went cold, distant. It took me 3 years to eliminate every man directly responsible for that massacre. I did things I'm not proud of, became someone my 18-year-old self wouldn't recognize. But I did it so I'd be strong enough that no one could ever hurt you again. Nikolai Sokolov is still alive, I pointed out. Nikolai wasn't involved in the original massacre. He was just a kid, maybe 15. His uncles ordered the hit on my family, and I killed every single one of them. Gabriel's voice was matter-of-fact, clinical. Nikolai inherited the wreckage 2 years ago and rebuilt. He's hunting me for revenge, not because he was personally wronged. Different kind of threat. The casual way he discussed murder should have terrified me. Instead, it made a twisted kind of sense. This was his world now. His reality. Violence as business strategy. I thought about you every single day. I admitted quietly. Loved you, and hated you in equal measure. Some nights I'd dream you came back. Others I'd imagine you dead so I could finally stop waiting. I'm here now. Are you? Or is this just another version of leaving? You say you want me, but what you really want is absolution. To prove you made the right choice abandoning me. His hand tightened on my face, not painfully but firmly. I want you. Not redemption. Not forgiveness. You, messy and angry and damaged. All of you, Lauren. I'm not some prize to be won. Then what are you? His voice dropped lower, intimate. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me 10 years actually changed what we had. It changed everything. Did it change how you feel when I'm close? He was barely an inch away now, his breath warm against my lips. Did it change the fact that you're mine, no matter how much you fight it? I should have pushed him away, should have maintained distance, protected myself. Instead, I heard myself whisper, I hate that you're right. The kiss was inevitable. Desperate. 10 years of separation and longing crystallized into the moment his mouth claimed mine. It wasn't gentle or sweet. It was possession and fury and need all twisted together until I couldn't tell where my anger ended and desire began. His hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head back for better access. I gripped his shirt hard enough to tear fabric. Years of frustrated rage finding an outlet in the violence of how we came together. When he backed me against the kitchen wall, I didn't protest. When his knee pressed between my thighs, I gasped against his mouth and pulled him closer. Then reality crashed through the haze. I shoved hard against his chest, breaking the kiss, stumbling sideways to put distance between us. I can't. My voice shook. I can't do this. Gabriel stood perfectly still, chest heaving, eyes dark with want. Why not? Because the second I give in, you win, and I'll lose every piece of myself I've fought to keep. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold. I won't be another thing you own, Gabriel. I can't. This isn't about ownership. Everything with you is about ownership. The words came out sharper than intended. You don't ask, you take. You don't negotiate, you command. That's not love. That's control. And I've had enough of being controlled to last a lifetime. Something shifted in his expression. Not anger, something deeper. Hurt, maybe, beneath all that dangerous confidence. He stepped back, giving me space I desperately needed. I'll go. Good. He paused at my door. But I'm not giving up on you, Lauren. On us. You can run. But I've spent 10 years coming back to you. I can wait a little longer. Then he was gone, and I slid down the wall to sit on my kitchen floor. Fingers pressed to lips that still burned from his kiss. The next night, he returned as promised. Or threatened. I'd expected anger, demands, more attempts to break through my defenses. Instead, I found him asleep on my terrible couch, too tall to fit properly. Head bent at an angle that would leave his neck screaming. He still wore his suit from earlier, though he'd removed his jacket and shoulder holster. The vulnerability of seeing him like that, this dangerous man who commanded armies of criminals, reduced to cramped discomfort rather than leave me unprotected, cracked something inside my chest. I grabbed a blanket and draped it over him carefully. He stirred but didn't wake, and I retreated to the bedroom I shared with Megan before I could do something stupid like smooth the hair from his forehead. Morning brought news that shattered our fragile peace. The diner where I'd worked mornings had burned down overnight. Arson, the fire inspector said. Accelerant poured through the mail slot, flames spreading fast enough that if anyone had been inside, they wouldn't have survived. It was a warning, Gabriel said when I called him, voice numb with shock. Nikolai's message that he doesn't accept the debt transfer. He's escalating. I don't have a job anymore. Then move into my place. You and Megan. Let me protect you properly. I can't just abandon my apartment. Your apartment is a death trap that I can't secure properly. My house is a fortress. He paused. Please, Lauren. I know you hate accepting help from me, but this isn't about pride anymore. This is about keeping you alive. I looked at Megan, who'd been listening from the doorway, pale and frightened. She nodded slightly, giving me permission to make the choice that terrified me. Fine, but not completely. I'm keeping this apartment, and my night cleaning job. I need some part of my life that's still mine. Deal. Gabriel's relief was audible. I'll send movers tomorrow. I'd compromised. Accepted his help formally, stepped deeper into his world, and as I packed our meager belongings, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just surrendered something I'd never get back. The explosion happened while I was elbow-deep in industrial cleaning solution, scrubbing floors in an office building 20 blocks away. My phone rang at 11:30, and the number on the screen made my blood freeze. Megan. Lauren. Her voice was small, terrified. Something happened to the apartment. I dropped the mop. Are you okay? Where are you? I'm with Franco, Gabriel's man. We were coming back from my oncologist appointment, and there were fire trucks everywhere. Lauren, the whole building, our apartment is gone. The phone slipped from my nerveless fingers. Gabriel appeared in my peripheral vision before I even registered calling him, which meant he'd been monitoring my location. Again, I should have been angry. Instead, I felt only crushing relief that Megan had been elsewhere when it happened. "She's safe," he said quietly, reading the panic on my face. "Franco had her at County Medical for her appointment. They're at a secure location now. My apartment was destroyed by a carefully placed explosive device. Professional work. Nikolai Sokolov is sending a very clear message." His jaw tightened. "You can't go back there, Lauren. There's nothing to go back to." The reality hit in waves. Everything I owned, every piece of independence I'd clung to so desperately, reduced to ash and rubble. I'd kept that apartment as a symbol, proof that I could survive on my own. Now it was just a smoking crater, and I had nowhere left to run. "Okay," the word came out hollow. "Okay, we'll stay with you." Something flickered in Gabriel's dark eyes. Not triumph exactly. More like relief mixed with determination. "Let's go get your sister." The drive to wherever Franco had taken Megan passed in a blur. Gabriel made calls in rapid Italian, his voice cold and clipped as he issued orders I didn't understand. When we finally arrived at what turned out to be a medical facility disguised as an upscale office building, Megan threw herself into my arms hard enough to knock the breath from my lungs. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. All your things can be replaced." I held her tighter. "You can't. That's all that matters." Gabriel's property was 40 minutes outside the city, accessed through gates that belonged in a military installation. Armed guards waved us through with crisp nods, and the driveway wound through what looked like a small forest before opening onto a view that stole my breath. The house was modern architecture married to fortress practicality, clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows, but I counted at least a dozen cameras from the driveway alone, and the guards patrolling the perimeter moved with military precision, beautiful and deadly in equal measure, like the man who owned it. "Welcome home," Gabriel said softly, and I pretended those words didn't make something flutter dangerously in my chest. Megan got her own suite on the second floor, complete with medical equipment that probably cost more than I'd make in a lifetime. A nurse introduced herself, Rosa, middle-aged and competent, explaining that she'd be monitoring Megan's vitals and coordinating with her oncology team. My room was connected to Gabriel's by a single door. I noticed it immediately, that thin barrier between us, and something about it felt intentional. A choice I'd have to make eventually. "The lock is on your side," Gabriel said from behind me, making me jump. "You control the boundary. I won't cross it without permission." "How generous of you," I said, but the words lacked real bite. "I'm trying, Lauren, to do this right, to give you space while keeping you safe." He moved closer, not touching, just close enough that I could feel his presence like heat. "I know this isn't the life you chose, but I'll make it as comfortable as I can." The first week was an adjustment that felt like drowning and breathing simultaneously. Megan thrived under Rosa's care, color returning to her cheeks, energy levels rising. Watching her laugh while reading in the sun-drenched library, I couldn't maintain my resentment at Gabriel for forcing this move. Not when it was saving her life. Gabriel himself became a constant, unavoidable presence. He brought me coffee every morning, prepared exactly how I liked it despite never asking. He replaced the threadbare clothes I'd lost in the explosion with quality pieces that fit perfectly, because he'd somehow memorized my measurements. Small invasions that accumulated into something I couldn't quite name. "We need to talk about Nikolai Sokolov," he said one evening, 2 weeks into our cohabitation. We sat in his study, a room all dark wood and leather that smelled like old books and danger. "I'm moving against him in 5 weeks. "What does that mean?" "Moving against him? There's a charity gala. International criminal elite masquerading as philanthropists. Nikolai will be there. It's the only time he leaves his fortified compound. I'm planning to eliminate him during the event." Gabriel's tone was matter-of-fact, discussing murder like a business transaction. "It's the only way to permanently end the threat against you and Megan. You want me to just wait here while you go kill someone? I want you safe. I want to help." The words surprised me as much as they clearly surprised him. "He tried to kill me, Gabriel. Burned down my home. I don't get to just sit here in luxury while you handle it. I need to be part of this." "Absolutely not. You don't get to decide that." We stared at each other across his massive desk, wills clashing silently. Finally, Gabriel sighed. running a hand through his dark hair in a gesture of frustration I remembered from when we were teenagers. If you participate, you follow my orders exactly. No improvisation. No heroics. You do precisely what I tell you, when I tell you. Those are my terms. Deal. Lauren, I said deal, Gabriel. Don't push it. Something that might have been admiration flickered across his face. You're going to be the death of me. Better me than Nikolai Sokolov. The 5 weeks that followed blurred together in a strange domestic rhythm. Gabriel trained his security team in the mornings. Movements precise and lethal as he demonstrated techniques I tried not to find attractive. I watched from the house, coffee cooling in my hands, fascinated and disturbed by this version of the boy I'd loved. Evenings, he sat with Megan in the library, reading to her when she was too tired to hold a book herself, watching them together. This dangerous man being so gentle with my fragile sister cracked something in my carefully maintained defenses. He really loves you, Megan said one night after Gabriel had left. Like, obsessively. It's kind of intense. It's kind of terrifying. Maybe it's both. She studied me with eyes that saw too much. When are you going to stop punishing him for leaving? He's here now. He's been here consistently for weeks. At some point you have to decide if you're going to forgive him or not. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out. Because that man would burn the world down for you, Lauren. And I think you feel the same way about him. Even if you're too scared to admit it. The night before the gala, I found Gabriel alone in his study, surrounded by blueprints and photographs. He looked up when I entered, exhaustion evident in the lines around his eyes. Can't sleep? He asked. Can't stop thinking. I moved to the window overlooking his property, lit up like a prison yard. What happens after tomorrow? After Nikolai is dead and the threat is gone, what do we become then? Whatever you want us to be. He came to stand beside me, our reflections overlapping in the glass. I want you to stay. Build a life here, with me. But if you want to leave once it's safe, I won't stop you. Your debt is paid, Lauren. Has been from the moment I claimed it. You don't owe me anything. Then why all of this? The protection, the money, the constant presence? Because I'm selfish. Because I've spent 10 years becoming powerful enough to keep you. And now that I have you here, I don't want to let go. His voice dropped lower, intimate. But I will. If that's what you need. Your happiness matters more than my wants. I turned to face him fully, and the space between us felt charged, inevitable. What if I don't know what I want? Then let me show you what we could have. His hand came up slowly, cupping my face with surprising gentleness. No pressure, no demands. Just us. Seeing if what we had at 16 can exist now that we're who we've become. We're not the same people. No, we're better. Stronger. We've survived things that should have broken us. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Maybe we're finally strong enough to survive each other. The kiss was different from the violent collision in my apartment kitchen. This was slow, deliberate. A question rather than a demand. I melted into it, into him. A decade of resistance crumbling under the tenderness and how he held me. When he pulled back, his eyes searched mine. Stay with me tonight. Not because you owe me. Not because you're scared. Because you want to. I should have said no. Should have maintained boundaries. Protected myself. Instead, I took his hand and let him lead me through that connecting door I'd kept locked for weeks. What happened in his room was tender and intense. Years of longing crystallized into touch and whispered confessions. He treated me like something precious, taking his time, learning what made me gasp and arch against him. And when he finally moved inside me, it felt like coming home to a place I'd been searching for without knowing it existed. After, wrapped in his arms with my head on his chest, he whispered something in Italian against my hair. I didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear in how he held me, like letting go might kill him. What did you say? I murmured, half asleep. That I've spent 10 years finding my way back to you, and I'm never leaving again. I should have been scared by the intensity of that promise. Instead, I just held him tighter and let myself believe, for the first time in a decade, that maybe I didn't have to face everything alone anymore. The ballroom of the Grandmont Hotel dripped wealth from every crystal chandelier. Women in gowns worth more than my former annual salary glided past servers like me, invisible in our crisp white shirts and black vests. The irony wasn't lost on me. 2 months ago, I'd been scrubbing floors. Now I was infiltrating criminal elite while carrying a vial of sedative in my pocket that could stop a man's heart if I miscalculated the dose. You remember the plan? Gabriel's voice came through the nearly invisible earpiece he'd insisted I wear. Drug the Russian. Get out. Let you handle the rest. I adjusted the champagne flutes on my tray, hands steadier than they had any right to be. I've got this. If anything feels wrong, I'll abort. We've been over this a dozen times. I spotted my target across the room, and my blood went cold despite my confident words. Nikolai Sokolov looked exactly like what he was. A predator in expensive clothing. Scars carved paths across his face like a roadmap of violence, and his eyes held the flat effect of someone who'd killed so often it no longer registered as remarkable. I'd studied his photograph for weeks. Seeing him in person was different. Worse. This man had tried to kill me, had burned down my home, and now stood sipping vodka while discussing philanthropy with other monsters wearing tuxedos. He's near the bar, I murmured, knowing Gabriel could hear me even if he couldn't respond while in his own meeting with the other bosses. I'm moving in. My heart hammered as I wove through the crowd with practiced invisibility. The vial felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my pocket. One chance. That's all we'd get. Nikolai traveled with a small army. But here at this gala, surrounded by other criminal elite who valued the pretense of civility, his guard was down. Marginally. I approached with my tray held at the perfect angle, a smile plastered on my face that didn't reach my eyes. Champagne, sir? Nikolai's gaze swept over me with the disinterest reserved for furniture. He selected a glass without truly seeing me, and relief flooded through my system. I'd worried he might somehow recognize me from photographs, but Gabriel had been right. Men like Nikolai didn't look at the help. I waited until he turned back to his conversation partner, then made my move. The vial's contents went into a fresh glass with practiced precision, invisible against the golden liquid. I approached again, this time from a different angle. Fresh champagne, sir? Your glass is nearly empty. This time he looked at me, really looked, and something in his flat eyes made my skin crawl. Thank you. He took the drugged glass, but didn't drink. Instead, he held it while continuing his conversation, and I forced myself to drift away naturally. Not rushing, just another server moving through the crowd. Minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. I watched from across the room as Nikolai raised the glass to his lips, then paused, lowered it, said something to the man beside him, a bodyguard built like a tank, who laughed and accepted the champagne as if Nikolai was offering a gift. No, 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 no. The bodyguard drank deeply. Nikolai selected a fresh glass from a passing server's tray. He knew. Somehow, impossibly, he knew. Gabriel, I whispered urgently into my earpiece. He switched drinks. The plan is compromised. I need to... A hand clamped around my upper arm with bruising force. Another server, except servers didn't move like trained killers. Mr. Sokolov would like a word. Quietly, I tried to pull away. His grip tightened until bones ground together. I said quietly, "Make a scene and I'll put a bullet in that pretty bartender behind you. Your choice." I stopped struggling. Let him guide me through a service door, down a hallway lined with industrial kitchen equipment, into a storage room that smelled of flour and fear. Nikolai waited inside, flanked by 2 more men, the bodyguard who'd drunk the sedative already swaying on his feet. Lauren Mitchell. Nikolai's accent turned my name into something ugly. Or should I say Lauren Vasquez, Gabriel Fioraldi's pet project. Did you really think I wouldn't recognize you? I don't know what you're talking about. My voice came out steadier than expected. I'm just a server. He backhanded me hard enough that I tasted copper. Don't insult my intelligence. I've known you were coming since the moment Gabriel bought your false credentials from my inside man. His smile was all teeth and malice. Did you think your lover's security was impenetrable? I've had someone on his payroll for weeks, long enough to learn all about his precious Lauren and her dying sister. The room tilted. inside man, traitor in Gabriel's organization, which meant Nikolai pulled out his phone, swiped to a video, and my world ended. Megan, tied to a chair in what looked like an abandoned office, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, terror written across her too thin face. Rosa lay motionless in the corner, and I couldn't tell if she was breathing. Your sister proved surprisingly difficult to acquire. Gabriel's mansion has excellent security. Nikolai tilted his head, studying my reaction like a scientist observing an experiment. But money buys many things, including the passcode to disable that security from the inside. My men walked right through the front door while Gabriel was busy preparing for tonight. If you hurt her... The threat died in my throat. What could I possibly do? I was powerless, trapped, and Megan was miles away in the hands of men who'd murdered Gabriel's entire family without hesitation. Call him. Nikolai held out his phone. Tell your lover that if he wants his precious girls to survive the night, he'll come alone to the old industrial district, Warehouse 7 on Camden Street. I believe he knows the location well, the warehouse where Gabriel's family had been slaughtered 10 years ago. Of course, this was never just about business or territory. This was personal. Revenge served cold across a decade. My hands shook as I dialed Gabriel's number. He answered on the first ring. Lauren, where are you? You cut out. He has Megan. My voice cracked. Gabriel, he has her. He had someone inside your security. They took her from the mansion. Silence. Then, in a voice colder than I'd ever heard from him, put Sokolov on. Nikolai took the phone with obvious satisfaction. Fioraldi, you killed my uncles, destroyed my family's legacy. Tonight, I return the favor. Warehouse 7. Alone. You have 1 hour, or I start mailing you pieces of the women you love. He ended the call and smiled at me. Now we wait. And while we wait, you can watch your sister suffer every time you fail to cooperate. The drive to the warehouse happened in surreal silence. I sat wedged between two of Nikolai's men in the back of an SUV, watching the city lights blur past while my mind raced uselessly. Gabriel would come. Of course he would. And Nikolai would kill us all, completing his revenge in the same place where this cycle of violence had begun. He loved his uncles, you know, Nikolai said conversationally from the front seat. The ones your Gabriel murdered so methodically. Boris and Dmitry Sokolov. They raised me after my parents died. Taught me everything about power, about respect, about what it means to be truly feared. He glanced back at me. Gabriel took that from me, left me with nothing but their corpses and a burning need to watch him suffer. They killed his entire family, I said flatly. Murdered them in their own home. He was 18 years old. They were eliminating competition. Business. Nikolai shrugged. Gabriel made it personal by refusing to die with them. And then he spent years systematically destroying everything my uncles built. So yes, this is very personal. I'm going to kill you slowly. Make him watch. Then I'll kill the sister. Then, when he's completely broken, I'll put a bullet in his skull exactly where he shot my Uncle Boris. Poetic, no? The warehouse loomed ahead, a skeletal structure of rusted metal and broken windows. My last chance at escape was slipping away with every second. But even if I could run, I couldn't leave Megan. Couldn't abandon her the way I'd felt abandoned 10 years ago. Gabriel would come. That was the one certainty in this nightmare. He'd come because he'd spent a decade building power specifically to protect me. And he'd die before he let me face this alone. I just hoped he had a plan better than walking into an obvious trap and praying for the best. The SUV stopped. Rough hands hauled me out into cold night air that smelled of rust and old blood. Somewhere in that darkness, my sister was waiting. Somewhere closer, Gabriel was racing toward us with an army at his back. And somewhere in the space between hope and despair, I prayed we'd all survive until morning. They dragged me into the warehouse's skeletal remains, my feet catching on broken concrete and twisted metal. The space smelled like decay and old violence, and I understood why Nikolai had chosen it. This place was a grave already. Adding 3 more bodies would just be tradition. Megan sat tied to a chair in what had once been an office on the 2nd level, visible through shattered windows. Even from the ground floor, I could see the terror in her too pale face. The blood dried on her temple. Rosa lay crumpled in the corner like discarded laundry, and relief hit me hard when I saw her chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. "Lauren," Megan's voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Quiet. One of Nikolai's men cuffed her hard enough that her head snapped sideways. Rage flooded through me, so pure it drowned out fear. "Touch her again and I'll kill you myself," I said with absolute certainty. The man laughed. Nikolai didn't. He studied me with those dead eyes and nodded slowly, like I'd confirmed something he'd suspected. "You have some of Gabriel in you after all." "Good. Killing you will hurt him more if you fight." The sound of approaching vehicles cut through the night. Multiple engines, moving fast. Nikolai's men took positions throughout the warehouse with practiced efficiency. Rifles and automatic weapons appearing from beneath coats. 20 men. Maybe 25. An army positioned to slaughter whoever walked through those rusted doors. Gabriel was walking into a massacre, and there was nothing I could do but watch it happen. The vehicles stopped outside. Doors opened and closed with controlled precision. Then Gabriel's voice, amplified somehow, echoed through the warehouse. "I'm here, Nikolai, as requested, alone." "Liar!" Nikolai shouted back. "I count 15 vehicles. You think I'm stupid?" "I said I came. I didn't say my men wouldn't follow." A pause. "But I'll walk in alone if you want. Just let me see that Lauren and Megan are alive first." Nikolai grabbed my arm and hauled me to the center of the warehouse floor, into clear view of the entrance. One of his men dragged Megan down from the office, her legs barely supporting her weight. We stood exposed under the skeletal ceiling, moonlight streaming through gaps in the rusted metal roof. "They're alive," Nikolai called out. "For now. Come in, Fioraldi. Let's finish what my uncle started 10 years ago." The main door creaked open. Gabriel stepped through alone, hands raised, no visible weapons. He wore the tuxedo from the gala still, though it was rumpled now, stained with something dark on one sleeve. His eyes found mine immediately, and I saw everything I needed to know in that look. He had a plan. I just had to trust him. "Let them go," Gabriel said quietly, still advancing with careful steps. "This is between you and me. They're innocent. No one is innocent." Nikolai's grip on my arm tightened. "Your precious Lauren carries your debt. The sister is leverage. They stay until you're dead. Then they follow you." The gunfire started before he finished speaking. Not from Nikolai's men. From above. From outside. From angles I hadn't seen anyone take. Gabriel's men. Positioned while Nikolai had been focused on the dramatic confrontation. The warehouse erupted into chaos. I hit the ground, pulling Megan down with me as bullets tore through the air where we'd been standing. Nikolai dove for cover, screaming orders in Russian. His men returned fire, but they were caught in crossfire from multiple directions, trapped in a killing box of Gabriel's design. Through the chaos, I watched Gabriel move. This wasn't the careful, controlled man I'd been living with. This was the weapon he'd been forged into during 5 years in Sicily. Every movement was economical, lethal. A gun appeared in his hand from somewhere, and men fell before they could track him. He advanced like a force of nature, unstoppable and terrible. I covered Megan with my body, trying to shield her from the violence while knowing it was futile. We were ants caught between warring gods, and our survival depended entirely on which god won. Minutes felt like hours. The sound was deafening. Gunfire, shouting, the screams of wounded men. The smell of cordite burned my nose. Megan trembled beneath me, too weak from her illness to do more than survive this. I whispered useless reassurances into her hair and prayed to any deity listening that Gabriel knew what he was doing. The gunfire started to thin. Gabriel's men were winning through superior positioning and numbers. I risked lifting my head and immediately wished I hadn't. Bodies everywhere. So much blood. And in the center of it all, Gabriel and 3 of his captains, Franco, Roberto, Adriano, advancing methodically through the carnage. A hand fisted in my hair and yanked me upright. Nikolai. He'd circled through the chaos, using the shadows and confusion to get to us. He had Megan by the throat now, gun pressed to her temple, using us as human shields. "Fioraldi!" His voice was ragged with desperation and rage. "Stop, or I kill them both." Everything went silent. Gabriel froze mid-step, his men stopping with military precision. The remaining Russians, maybe 5 or 6 still standing, trained their weapons on Gabriel. Mexican standoff with my sister's life as the ante. "Let them go," Gabriel said. His voice was steady, but I saw the fear beneath his control. "Please, take me instead. I'll take you anyway." Nikolai dragged us toward the center of the warehouse, into clear view of everyone. "But first you watch them die. First you understand what you took from me." "Don't!" I found my voice finally. "Gabriel, don't give him anything. Save yourself." The gun barrel against Megan's head pressed harder. She whimpered, eyes squeezed shut. "Shut up. Or I kill her right now instead of making it last." Gabriel walked forward, hands spread wide, weapon dropped and kicked away. "Surrender. Complete and absolute. Let Lauren go. Keep the sister as insurance if you want. But let Lauren walk away from this. No deal." Nikolai's breath was hot against my ear. "You love her. I can see it in how you move, how you're willing to die for her. So she dies first. While you watch. Then the sister. Then you, slowly, until you beg me to finish it." This was it. The end I'd been running toward since Gabriel re-entered my life. I looked at him across the blood-stained concrete, tried to memorize his face one last time. Wanted to tell him I loved him, had always loved him, would die still loving him. His eyes met mine, and he smiled. Small, barely there, but definitely a smile. Then he mouthed 2 words. "Trust me." Everything happened in rapid succession. Megan, who I'd thought was frozen in terror, suddenly twisted and bit down on Nikolai's hand with desperate strength. He jerked reflexively, gun wavering away from her temple for 2 critical seconds. Gabriel moved like he'd been released from invisible restraints. His hand blurred to his ankle, pulling a backup weapon I hadn't seen. 3 shots, so fast they sounded like one extended crack. Nikolai's shoulder, the arm holding the gun. His chest, center mass. His head, final and absolute. The Russian fell backward, dead before he hit the ground. His remaining men tried to react, but Gabriel's forces cut them down in a coordinated volley that lasted seconds. Then silence. True silence. The kind that only comes when all the killing stops. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Just stood frozen while my brain tried to process that we'd survived. That somehow, impossibly, Gabriel had turned certain death into victory. Then he was there, arms around me, pulling me against his chest hard enough that I felt his heartbeat hammering against my cheek. "You're okay. You're safe. I've got you." I broke. 10 years of holding myself together through impossible circumstances shattered, and I sobbed into his blood-stained tuxedo while he held me like letting go would kill him. Megan collapsed against us both, and we stood there in the center of carnage, 3 people who'd survived what should have ended us. "We need to move," Franco said quietly. "Police are 8 minutes out. Medical van is outside for the girl." Gabriel scooped Megan up like she weighed nothing, carrying her toward the exit, while keeping one arm around me, refusing to let me stumble alone through the aftermath. The night air outside tasted impossibly sweet after the enclosed death of the warehouse. A medical vehicle waited as promised. Rosa was already inside, conscious now and demanding to know if Megan was safe. The reunion between nurse and patient made me cry harder, and I didn't even care anymore about maintaining composure. Gabriel gave orders in rapid Italian, coordinating our evacuation, while sirens grew louder in the distance. We transferred to an unmarked SUV and fled into the night, leaving behind bodies and questions for the police who served bosses in expensive suits rather than justice. The safe house was 40 minutes away. Megan received treatment from a doctor who didn't ask questions, stitches and fluids and sedatives to let her body rest from the trauma. Rosa hovered nearby, apologizing endlessly for not protecting her better. I couldn't find the words to tell her she'd done everything possible against impossible odds. When Megan finally slept, when Rosa settled in to monitor her, when the adrenaline finally wore off, I found myself sitting on a couch in an unfamiliar living room while my hands shook uncontrollably. Gabriel sat beside me silently, just there, solid and real and alive. After a while, he took my trembling hands in his, warming them with his larger ones. "I thought I'd lost you," I whispered. "When you walked in there alone, I thought I was never alone." I had 40 men positioned before I ever made the call. His thumb traced circles on my palm. "And I had you. You kept Megan calm, kept yourself alive. You survived, Lauren, like you always do." "I'm tired of surviving." The confession slipped out. "I want to live. Actually live, not just exist day to day waiting for the next disaster. Then live." He pulled me against him, and I went willingly, too exhausted to fight anymore. With me. Build something real instead of just surviving the wreckage. I thought about arguing. About pointing out all the reasons why building a life with a mafia boss was insane. Instead, I just held him tighter and let myself believe, for the first time in a decade, that maybe I deserved something more than survival. Maybe I deserved happiness, even if it came wrapped in violence and expensive suits. The week after, the warehouse felt like living in a dream, where the edges hadn't quite solidified into reality. Megan recovered in her suite at Gabriel's mansion. Our mansion, he kept correcting me gently, with color returning to her cheeks day by day. The oncologist Gabriel had flown in from Johns Hopkins, declared her prognosis better than they dared hope. The experimental treatment combined with reduced stress was working miracles. I should have been purely grateful. Instead, rage simmered beneath my relief like magma waiting to erupt. It happened on the 8th day, when I was sitting with Megan while she slept. Rosa mentioned casually that the tracker Gabriel had implanted in the delicate silver necklace he'd given Megan weeks ago had been what saved her life. The technology was sophisticated enough to broadcast her exact coordinates even through concrete and steel. "Wait." I set down the book I'd been pretending to read. "He put a tracker in her necklace? Without telling anyone?" Rosa's expression shifted to concern. "You didn't know?" I assumed. I was out of the room before she finished, fury propelling me through corridors I'd learned by necessity. Gabriel's office door was closed, but I didn't bother knocking. He looked up from paperwork as I slammed it behind me hard enough to rattle the frame. "You put a tracker on my sister." Not a question, an accusation. He set down his pen with deliberate calm. "Yes." "No, without asking me, without her consent. You violated her privacy, her autonomy, and you didn't think that was something I should know about. It saved her life." His voice was level, unapologetic. "If I hadn't been able to track her location, Nikolai's men would have taken her somewhere we'd never find. She'd be dead, Lauren. So yes, I violated her privacy. I'd do it again." The absolute certainty in his tone made me want to scream. "That's not the point. You don't get to make those decisions unilaterally. She's my sister, not your property to monitor. She was in danger because of me. That made her my responsibility." Gabriel stood, moving around the desk but keeping distance between us. "I won't apologize for doing what was necessary to protect her. I'm not asking you to apologize for protecting her. I'm demanding you understand that you crossed a line, a major line. You don't implant tracking devices in people without their knowledge. That's something Nikolai would do, not—" I cut myself off, but the implication hung heavy between us. Something flickered in his expression. Pain, maybe. "You think I'm like him. I think you're so used to controlling everything that you've forgotten some things require consent." I forced myself to breathe, to think past the anger. Megan is 18 years old. She deserves to know when someone is tracking her movements, even if it's for protection. I deserve to be consulted about decisions that affect my family. Those aren't unreasonable expectations. Silence stretched between us. Gabriel studied me with those dark eyes that saw too much, and I watched him process my words, weigh them against his instincts. Finally, he nodded slowly. "You're right. I should have told you. Should have asked." The admission seemed to cost him something. "I'm not good at relinquishing control. Spent too long building power specifically so I'd never be powerless again. But you're not my enemy, and Megan isn't my asset. You're both." He paused, searching for words. "You're the reason I built any of this. I lost sight of that." The sincerity in his voice deflated some of my anger. "Promise me. Future decisions involving Megan, involving me. You include us. We're partners in this, Gabriel, or we're nothing." Partners. He tested the word like it was foreign. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. Small. Genuine. I can work with that. Though fair warning, it goes against every instinct I've honed for the past decade. Then develop new instincts. Demanding. I'm starting to understand why you survived when everyone else tried to break you. He moved closer, and I let him. Some of the tension bleeding out of the space between us. What else do you need from me? Tell me your terms, Lauren. I'll meet them if I can. So I did. We sat in his office as afternoon light faded to evening, and I laid out exactly what I needed to stay in this life with him. Complete transparency about his business dealings within reason. I didn't need details of every violence, but I needed to understand the general structure of his world. A voice in decisions that affected me and Megan directly. No more paternalistic protection where he made choices for my own good without consulting me. Gabriel listened without interrupting, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied me with something that looked like admiration. You're negotiating terms with a mafia boss like you're discussing a business contract. I learned from watching you. Everything has a price. Everything's negotiable, and clarity prevents misunderstandings. I met his gaze steadily. Are these terms you can accept? Yes, with one addition of my own. My stomach tightened. What addition? You tell me when I'm overstepping. Don't let resentment build. If I'm being controlling, call it out immediately. I can't fix problems I don't know exist. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I want this to work, Lauren. Actually work. Not just you tolerating my presence because you have nowhere else to go. The vulnerability in his admission cracked something in my chest. I'm not tolerating you. I'm trying to figure out how to love you without losing myself in the process. Do you? Love me still? I never stopped. That's the problem. I looked away, unable to hold his gaze while admitting this. I hated you for leaving, but I never stopped loving you. Even when I married Tommy, even during the worst parts, some pathetic part of me was still waiting for you to come back. Gabriel closed the distance between us, kneeling in front of my chair so we were eye level. I'm sorry. For leaving. For taking so long to find you. For every moment you suffered because I wasn't there. I'd change it if I could. Go back and make different choices. But I can't. All I can do is promise that I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. Why did you? The question I'd been avoiding. Really. The truth, not the strategic explanation. He took a breath, and I watched him decide how honest to be. After the massacre, I was bleeding out in that basement where you'd hidden me. 18 years old, and watching my family's blood dry on my hands. I wanted to die, Lauren. Just close my eyes and stop existing. I hadn't expected that. What stopped you? You. The memory of you bringing me water, cleaning my wounds, whispering that I'd survive this. I realized if I died, you'd blame yourself, and if I stayed, weak and broken, they'd use you against me. The Sokolovs knew we were connected. That's why they'd tortured me instead of just killing me. To get information about you, about anyone I cared about. He looked down at his hands, scarred and deadly. My uncle in Sicily offered the only path forward. 5 years of brutality disguised as training. Learning to be harder than the hardest men, more ruthless than the ruthless, until I could build power that made me untouchable. Every time I wanted to reach out to you, I reminded myself that contacting you while I was still vulnerable would paint a target on your back. So I waited, and waited, and hated every day of waiting. You could have sent one letter, one message that you were alive. A message could be intercepted, could lead them to you. I couldn't risk it. His hands found mine, warm and solid. I know it wasn't fair. Know you deserved better than silence. But in that moment, keeping you alive mattered more than keeping you happy. The twisted logic of it made sense in the awful way that survival always made sense. I'd done terrible things to keep Megan alive, too. Married a man I despised. Worked until my body screamed. Made compromises with my conscience that still haunted me at night. I understand, I said finally. Rationally, I understand. Emotionally, I'm still angry about it. That's going to take time to resolve. I have time. As much as you need. He pressed his forehead to our joined hands. Just don't give up on us. Please. The please broke me. I pulled him closer, kissed him with all the love and rage and forgiveness I couldn't yet articulate. He responded with matching desperation. And we stayed like that until the light outside died completely, and darkness wrapped around us like a cocoon. Later that night, Gabriel made his announcement. He'd called a meeting of every captain and soldier in the Fioraldi organization. I stood beside him in what he called the Great Hall, but which looked more like a courtroom, designed by someone with unlimited funds and questionable taste in intimidation. 40 men assembled in neat rows, all eyes on their boss. Gabriel stood at the front with me beside him, his hand at the small of my back, broadcasting ownership and protection simultaneously. Most of you know Lauren Mitchell by now. She's been living under my protection for weeks. His voice carried through the space without need for amplification. Effective immediately, she's more than a protected asset. She's mine. My woman. Anyone who threatens her threatens me directly. Anyone who harms her will die screaming. This is not negotiable. This is not temporary. Lauren Mitchell is now First Lady of this family, and you will treat her with the respect that position demands. Silence. Then Franco, Gabriel's oldest captain, stepped forward and bowed his head in acknowledgement. We understand, boss. She's family now. The others followed suit, murmuring agreements and assurances. I stood there feeling exposed and strangely powerful, watching dangerous men swear loyalty to someone who'd been scrubbing their floors 2 months ago. After the meeting, back in the privacy of Gabriel's office, I finally let myself react. First Lady of the organization. That's a lot of pressure. You've been handling pressure your entire life. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one. This just makes it official. What does it actually mean? Besides a fancy title? It means my enemies know hurting you would be the worst thing they could do to me. It means my allies will extend you courtesy and protection. It means you have authority within this organization second only to mine. He clinked his glass against mine. It means you're committed now, Lauren. All in. No going back. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt something like relief. For the first time in a decade, I wasn't surviving alone. I had an army at my back, and a man who'd burn the world down before letting someone hurt me. Was it healthy? Probably not. Was it what I dreamed of at 16? Definitely not. But it was real, and solid, and mine. All in, I echoed, and drank deeply. The whiskey burned going down, but I was getting used to the burn. Getting used to living in a world where love looked like violence and protection felt like possession. Gabriel smiled, pulled me into his arms, and for the first time since he'd crashed back into my life, I let myself believe this might actually work. 3 months felt like a lifetime, and an instant simultaneously. Megan's laughter echoed through the mansion's library as she video called with college admissions counselors. Her color healthy, her energy restored. The experimental treatment Gabriel had secured had pushed her leukemia into remission, and watching her plan a future, she'd thought she'd never have made every compromise I'd made worthwhile. I stood at the window of what had become my office, overlooking the foundation's financial reports. The Mitchell Fioraldi Foundation. Gabriel had insisted on my parents' names alongside his, creating something legitimate out of blood money. We focused on the housing project where we'd both grown up, providing medical care, educational scholarships, and job training to families trapped in the same cycle of poverty that had nearly destroyed us. You're good at this, Gabriel had said last week, watching me negotiate with a hospital administrator. Better than I expected. You see the people behind the numbers. Because I was those people. I'd turned the funding around in 48 hours, leveraging Gabriel's reputation when charm alone didn't work. It felt strange, using the fear his name generated for something good. But I'd learned that in this world, power was neutral. Intent made it righteous or corrupt. The other wives, Angela, whose husband Roberto ran the docks, Maria, married to Adriano, who controlled the unions, even Sophia, Franco's new girlfriend, had welcomed me cautiously at first. I'd proven myself by never asking questions about their husband's work, never gossiping, an understanding that discretion was survival. They'd taught me the unspoken rules of this life, how to read a room when bosses gathered, when to speak, and when silence conveyed more, how to be strong without threatening the fragile male egos that ran this world. I wasn't the same woman who'd scrubbed floors 3 months ago. That version of me felt like a stranger, someone I'd shed like outgrown skin. This Lauren Mitchell understood power dynamics, could negotiate with criminals and philanthropists with equal ease, and had learned that loving Gabriel meant accepting the blood that came with him. The office door opened without knocking. Only one person entered my space with that presumption of welcome. Gabriel looked exhausted, his suit jacket missing, shirt sleeves rolled up. It was nearly midnight. He'd been in meetings all day, the kind of meetings that left bodies in their wake, though we both pretended otherwise. Then I saw his hands. Blood. Fresh. Still wet. Staining his fingers like accusation. A year ago, I would have recoiled. Asked questions. Demanded explanations. Now I simply moved to the bathroom attached to my office, wet a towel with warm water, and returned. He watched me approach with something like wonder, like he still couldn't believe I'd chosen this life. I took his hands in mine and cleaned them methodically. The blood came away in rust-colored streaks, revealing the scarred knuckles beneath, his life written in violence across his body. I didn't ask who had died tonight. Didn't want to know. Some things were better left in the darkness where they belonged. "Thank you," he said quietly when I finished. "For what? Cleaning your hands? For staying? For not looking at me with horror every time I come home from the ugly parts of my work?" His fingers laced through mine. For choosing me anyway. I met his dark eyes, seeing the boy I'd loved and the man he'd become, and understanding they were both him. "You chose me first, 10 years ago. Every brutal thing you did was to get back to me. How could I do less?" He pulled something from his pocket with his clean hand. A small velvet box that made my heart stutter. We'd talked about marriage in abstract terms. Someday when things settled. But Gabriel's world never settled. Violence was a constant, punctuated by brief moments of peace. I was going to plan something elaborate. Dinner, romance, the whole traditional proposal. He opened the box, revealing a ring that stole my breath. An emerald the precise shade of my eyes, set in white gold with clean lines that were elegant without ostentation. But tonight, watching you clean blood from my hands without flinching, I realized I don't want to wait anymore. "Gabriel, let me finish." His voice carried the same intensity he brought to everything. "I'm not going to lie to you, Lauren. Life with me will be dangerous. There will always be rivals trying to prove themselves. Always be threats we have to neutralize. I can't promise you safety or normalcy or anything resembling a regular life. What I can promise is that I will love you until my last breath, that you'll never face danger alone, that I'll build you a kingdom if you ask, burn down empires if you need me to." He dropped to one knee in my office, this dangerous man who commanded armies, making himself vulnerable in the way that mattered most. "Marry me. Not because you owe me, not because you're trapped here. Marry me because you want to. Because 10 years wasn't enough to kill what we have, and I need another 50 or 60 years to make up for the time I lost." Tears blurred my vision. I should have been thinking about the practical implications, the danger, the reality of becoming permanently tied to the Mafia. Instead, I thought about scrubbing floors until my hands bled, about watching Megan waste away because I couldn't afford proper treatment, about a decade of just surviving, waiting for life to start. Gabriel had given me life. Not just survival, but actual living. Purpose and power, and the terrifying freedom that came with being loved absolutely. Yes, the word came out steady despite my tears. Not because I need you, because I choose you. Every day for the rest of our lives, I choose you. He slid the ring onto my finger with hands that trembled slightly. This man who never showed weakness. Then he was standing, pulling me against him, kissing me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. I kissed him back with everything I had. This man who'd spent a decade becoming someone powerful enough to keep me. "I finally found you," he murmured against my lips, switching to English from his usual Italian endearments. "After 10 years of searching, building, fighting. You're mine, Lauren. And you're mine." I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. That's the difference now. Not your possession. Ours. We belong to each other. His smile transformed his face, softening the hard edges into something almost boyish. I can live with that. Mutual ownership. Partnership. Better practice it. You're stuck with me now. Best decision I ever made. We stood there in my office, holding each other while the clock ticked toward tomorrow. Outside, his empire spread across the city, built on violence and fear. Inside this room, we were just two people who'd survived impossible circumstances and found each other again. It wasn't the fairy tale I'd dreamed about at 16. It was better. Real. Earned through suffering and sacrifice. The kind of love that understood darkness because we'd both lived in it. 6 months later, we married in the mansion's garden. Small ceremony. Just Megan as my maid of honor. Franco as his best man. The other captains and their wives witnessing. No white wedding dress. I wore deep green that matched my ring. No traditional vows. We wrote our own, promising honesty over perfection, partnership over obedience. When the officiant pronounced us married, Gabriel kissed me like a man claiming what was his, and I kissed him back like a woman who'd finally stopped running. Lauren Mitchell became Lauren Fioraldi that afternoon. Not an ending, but a transformation. The girl who'd scrubbed floors still lived inside me, keeping me grounded when the wealth and power became overwhelming. The woman I'd become understood that sometimes love looked like violence, and protection felt like control, and family was chosen rather than given. Our story had started 10 years ago, with a broken promise on a rooftop. It had survived separation, suffering, and the kind of obstacles that destroyed weaker foundations. Now it began again. Not with naive hope, but with clear-eyed understanding of exactly what we were building together. Gabriel's hand found mine as we faced our strange assembled family. His grip was warm, solid, and permanent. A promise he'd spent a decade preparing to keep. I held on tight and stepped forward into our future, whatever darkness it might hold, because some lights only shine brighter against the black, and ours had been forged in fire hot enough to burn away everything except what mattered most. Each other, finally. Completely. Forever.